Where do we even begin to start? Hello and welcome back. I hope you guys are still hanging on in there. The stream demons are having a right laugh tonight. The internet actually stopped working completely. That was on the last crash, and then the crash before that was actually the first time the sim actually kind of said, nah, not gonna happen. So, we're back. Thanks everyone for hanging around and sticking around. Where would you get such a high production valued stream? Who said RTE? Anyway, I've just updated my graphics card, so that might help. Praise Jack Daniels. It's praise Santori times. But anyway, we're back. So what I'm going to do, we'll just kind of ease our way into it. I was just thinking, most of you guys are going to be installing this, and you're going to be met with this menu screen when you first log in. So I thought maybe I'll spend a couple of minutes and just explain to you what everything is and what it does. This is the full release version, complete with Marketplace. Now, spoiler alert, if you guys want to wait and figure all this stuff out for yourself, well then I bid you adieu. Many thanks for stopping by. If you do want to stay here, well, I'm going to be going through a couple of bits and bobs. I'll go through my settings for the graphics, also the in-game or in-sim settings, and let's see what let's see what happens, I suppose. Batty says, what happened? I don't know. The sim crashed, and then I crashed, and then the internet crashed. But now we're back. Can we see the airline liveries soon? I don't think there are any just yet, but we'll wait and see. So I think the best way to do this, I need to disappear me out of the way because it's blocking vital information for you. So fear not, I'm still here. I've just disappeared. So this is your main screen. Once you install the sim, it'll go through a couple of your preference checks. It'll ask a couple of bits and bobs what way you want the sim to be on your initial launch. But once you go through all of that, this is your home screen or your welcome screen. So top left, we have world map. Basically, your world map is for your free flight. You basically hop into the sim and away you go. So we'll go into that now in a sec. Next up then, we have landing challenges, and they are showing off Courchevel in France. So it says, the event is for the next 2 weeks, compete in a new time-limited landing challenge to reach the top of the leaderboard. And, well, Gripper Sim is going to be really upset. He was second in the world, and that's before the world and his mother got to the sim. So that's a neat little feature. Down here, then, we have flight training. It goes through a number of tutorials to get you guys up and running in the sim. By default, they have selected the Cessna 152 only because it's the level of expertise required to fly it will be far less than operating something like a G1000 or even a jet. So you have basic controls, how to operate the aircraft and the cameras, your attitudes and instruments, takeoff and level flight, landing, how to hold and, well, basically do a traffic pattern, which is basically kind of like a set of rules for flying around an airport. Your first solo flight, it goes into navigation. Well, how do you get from A to B? And then your first solo navigation. So that's in your training. I got some background noise here. The in-game music is lovely, but we won't do that just yet. Next up, if you go into activities, you have landing challenges and bush trips. So if you look at landing challenges, you have some of the most famous approaches. We have Jackson, New York, we have Ecuador, Sydney, Australia, Chile, France, Brazil, and Canada. And you notice that they're all different aircraft they drop you into. So lots of fun to be had in there. If we go back to landing challenges, we can now look at some of the epic ones. These are the most iconic and dangerous places to land in the world. So we have Aspen, we have Courchevel, we have in the Kingdom of, I think it's Bhutan, you have Saint Bartholomew. Indonesia, Lukla in Nepal, the Caribbean Netherlands, and Honduras. Nice and handy. And then lastly, we have strong winds make a pilot's job even harder. Contend with currents and crosswinds along the approach path to ensure a good landing. So this is basically going to put a whole load of mad weather against you, and you have to try and land it. So first up, they show Donegal. They have Gibraltar, over to Nanwalek, Queenstown over New Zealand, down into Portugal, Innsbruck in Austria, Nassau in the Bahamas, and then Sedona. So all of these are absolutely fantastic fun. So basically when you start, you're already in the aircraft, everything's loaded up for you, you take over on your final approach, and you have to try and land. So there's lots for you to do. We might do a bit of flying in a little while, yes. The download, it does stick. Give it some time, Reckless. It will sort itself out. So there are the activities in which we can do. Bus trips. There's 3 of them here already. So that's flying around Yosemite in Nevada, out to the Balkans, and out in Patagonia. So very hard to navigate in these areas. You're in very iconic places around the world, and it's pretty much just bush flying, which is awesome. We have like a news tab down in the bottom right then. It'll give you your welcome to the simulator and if there's any new news. Next up then we have profile. So if you select your pilot profile, it'll give you some information of what you've done. You can check all this stuff out. Wildlife groups observed using smart camera. Number of weekly activities completed. Cities observed using your smart camera. So there's a whole load of different stats to do. There's also a number of badges, and then you have achievements. These achievements will probably be different over on Steam, but in game there's quite a few. Fire and Ice. Complete the Patagonia bus trip without using any navigation assistance. And these are all included on standard, yes. Jordan says, I'm on the loading screen and it's a blue bar. Is that the downloading bar hasn't moved at all for like 30 minutes? It does that. Jordan, if you're using Windows, if you right click the bottom taskbar, open your task manager. When you're in task manager, go over to the performance tab and scroll down and you'll see Ethernet or your Wi-Fi. It'll tell you what you're sending and receiving. You want to make sure that you're receiving a lot of Mbps. If you're not, if it's hung, you can shut down the application and start again. You'll lose a little bit, but not much. Marty asks, can you select a different ATC voice other than the Azure text-to-speech? It's basically reading the default Microsoft voices you have. So when you're installing the sim, it'll actually come up and say it has to use the Microsoft text-to-speech. But yeah, you can play around with it in the sound settings. So out of profile, my hangar, we had a look at that there yesterday. That shows all the aircraft available to you. Then you just drop them into your hangar and have a look. Content Manager, this basically shows you all the files that are running in the background. You can toggle all, or just want to see what scenery packages you have, what add-on aircraft you have, and so on and so forth. Next up is my logbook. So it'll show you a list of all your flights and what you did, how you did, was it daytime, nighttime, basically just a logbook of all your flights in the sim. We're pretty much used to them. Marketplace. So in the marketplace, which is now open, we have a number of add-ons you can pick up from day one. The prices you're looking at are in euros. So if you go down to official content, you can see all, you can see a wish list, what you have owned, any bundles, promotional, what's installed on your system. You'll note that I have some of the Orbex stuff already. You can buy them directly from the Orbex store if you've already purchased them on a different simulator, be it X-Plane or P3D, and they will give you a discount over there. You can look at the third-party developers. So far we have Orbex, Flightbeam, and Caronado. They've also made airports, landmarks, and other aircraft. So that's all we have available at the moment. So if we were to click on all, there's one aircraft available in the store, and the rest is sceneries. But there will be more coming to that over the coming weeks and days. Last up then we have our options. So we have our general settings, assistance, and controls. In general, we have our graphics tab, which is the first one. In here you can say display mode, is it windowed or a full screen? Now the mouse cursor is really handy in full screen, because if you're using two screens, well, you can still move the mouse off your main screen and still be able to manipulate the second screen. You don't necessarily have to be in windowed mode for that. Your resolution, you set that as to your monitor. HDR is included in it. The global rendering quality, so I have mine set to custom, but you can set it to low, mid, high, or ultra, and then you can tweak some of your settings. So VSync, vertical sync, basically if your machine is running quite well and when you're turning and moving you're getting like screen tearing, if you turn on vertical sync it'll lead to a much smoother experience. The frame rate, in which once you have VSync turned on, you can lock your frame rates depending on your performance. You can keep it unlocked. I go for 60 FPS, which is fine. Next up we have render scaling, and what's really handy about these options, guys, it gives you a description over in the right hand corner, which is very handy. 10 letter says Steam released in Melbourne 3.5 hours. Woohoo! Andy G is here, looking good again, Murph. It's a night of nights. Jordan's here, he says hello from Dublin. Mackie asks, can you upgrade from standard to premium in the built-in marketplace? Yes, I believe so. Jamie Shepherd is here. You're amazing, mate, he says. Thanks very much, Jamie. Really appreciate it, dude. Next up then we have, so your render scaling. I have mine set at 150. I think it's by default, it's at 100. So the more you crank that up, the sharper and nicer things get. But again, this one here has a huge impact on your FPS, so you'll be messing around with this a little bit. Torfin is here. Hello, what's up, he says. All good, thanks, dude. Wafa11 says, can you show some tutorials? We'll see how he goes. 10 letter says, what time is it released in Dublin? A number of hours, I think, in the next 2 or 3 hours. If you go down to our anti-aliasing, there are a few different ones. You have FXAA, DLAA, and TAA. TAA is the highest they can possibly do, so just be careful with that. Basically what anti-aliasing does, if you see on the surfaces of be it the aircraft or scenery and you find all these jagged edges, that helps. Anti-aliasing will smooth them all out and make everything look a lot more crispier. The terrain level of detail, again, this is going to have a huge impact on your FPS. Flight Sim Noob is here. Many thanks for this subscribe. Good evening to you. I hope you're keeping well. My specs, Torfin, I use an i9 9900K running at 5 gigahertz. I have the RTX 2080 Ti and I have 64 gigs of RAM. So we continue on. Again, this is a slider you're probably going to be playing around with quite a bit. Terrain vector data. This basically will indicate the quality of the oceans, lakes, rivers, roads. Basically, if you remember from Orbex, they had, I think it was Orbex Vector or Open Vector. So the more you have that cranked up, the more accurate and the more defined, if you like, the roads and oceans and stuff are going to look. Buildings adjust the visual quality of procedurally generated buildings. Higher volumes will improve visual quality but may affect performance. They'll also have a little bit of an impact on your download speeds. Trees kind of follow the same. and grass and bushes. If you notice, trees and grass and bushes, I've moved them from ultra back down to high. On my machine I get maybe a 2 or 3 FPS. Advantage, if you like, for using them. So it's grand. Further down we go. The object's level of detail. Again, this is another slider you're going to be messing around with. Stuart Payne is here. He says, top of the morning, Murph. Stuart, good morning or good after evening. How are you keeping, dude? Harry Lochnan is here. As Jordan. Many thanks for the follow, dude. Harry asks, what part of Ireland am I from? I'm originally from Dublin. And then I married a girl from Kildare. I spent a lot of time in Kerry, and now I live in Tipperary. Well travelled and well cultured. So this is another it's another slider you're going to be spending time at going through. It's going to have an impact on your, obviously, your visual representation, but also your FPS. Next up then we have our clouds, volumetric clouds. This is how good your clouds are going to look. Now the weather looks so good in this sim, you would get away with much lower settings and still achieve amazing visuals. I just like to run them on ultra. I have a thing for clouds. Texture resolution. Again, this is the resolution of all your textures, how sharp and how defined they're going to look. Or Patty has just subscribed. Many thanks for the subscription. You're very welcome to this evening's stream. I've crashed multiple times. This is my 4th attempt. Minty Aviation has just subscribed as well. Many thanks, dude. Anisotropic filtering. Or anisotropic filtering. Anyway, that gadget there. It basically adjusts how many filters the texture goes through. Higher values will improve visual quality, but may affect performance. Again, on my machine, I can set it to times 16. You can get it down to times 6 or times 8 if you want. 10 Letter says, gas, watching a live stream broadcast from Tip from Australia. Paul McLean says, I was born in Kerry, Murphy. Go on the kingdom. Jamie says, I live in east of England in Ipswich. Cool. TJ Ash is saying, I can't install the sim via the Game Pass. Depends on your location. So let's see what happens there. Brizzy says, when will it be available to download on Steam? I live in the US. A couple of hours from now. Hold tight, it's a coming. Stuart Payne says, 1.53 subs. When did this happen? I know, dude. It's absolutely crazy. And considering the night of nights I'm having, as Mike Horrigan just subscribed. Good evening, Mike. I hope you're keeping well. Many thanks for the subscription. Yeah, the sim has crashed. I have crashed. Everything's crashed tonight, and we're still getting people following and subscribing. Sean Altink. Many thanks, Sean. Hope you're keeping well. You're all very welcome to the channel tonight, guys. I hope you're keeping well as we all as we all await with great anticipation for the release of the sim. Just downloaded, excited to start it up, says Daniel Tierney. Best of luck with that, Daniel. The game has already been released in my country. Many thanks for the subscribe, Brizzy. We continue on. Texture super sampling. Adjust the quality of super sampling. Key materials such as floor markings, taxiway lines. Some of the roads I've seen affected with this as well. Many thanks, Russell. You're very welcome to the channel. I hope you're having a nice evening. Texture synthesis. Again, they're giving them all these fancy names. It has very kind of subtle visual impacts on what we're doing. Water waves. So adjust the resolution of wave simulation. Again, if you're going to be flying in extremely windy weather, yes, I would turn this up to ultra. Or does it go to ultra? No, it doesn't. Aha, high is the most. So we did this on a stream yesterday when we were flying, where was that? Loch Ennell, I think. And if you increase the wind speed when you're messing around with the weather, you'll see waves like you've never seen them before. Keith O'Brien says, because it's a great stream, Captain Murphy. I was about to say scream there again. Many thanks, Keith. Rob is here. Hello, Two-Tone. Hello, Rob. Basically, every setting affects FPS, says Paul. Pretty much, Paul. Pretty much. Your shadow mapping, again, how good you want your shadows to be, terrain shadows and contact shadows. Shadows, it depends. That's always been the old kind of, diamond in the rough when it comes to saving on FPS, is turning down reflections and shadows. But they seem to hold it up pretty well in this. Windshield effects, this will affect obviously your reflections and also the rain effects and icing effects you'd get on the aircraft itself. I've gone with ultra, but there are subtle differences. If you had it on minimum, you still have a rain effect on the windshield, but not necessarily will you see the rain actually move. It's only as you crank up the graphics a little bit more, well then you get all the wonderful graphics. Occam's Brute says, hi, just discovered your channel. Have you been down to Mayo? We were over in Knock direction yesterday. Sean says, can you fly the 747 later on today? Yeah, we'll have a look at a couple of the aircraft. Danny657 says, what about Xbox? I don't think there's anything due to release for the Xbox console for a couple of weeks or months. I have a hunch that it'll be released in time for Christmas. So we'll see how we go. Ambient occlusion, that's more to do with the lighting and how well the lighting reflects off shadows. So again, your mileage may vary, but if you're going to be under pressure with FPS and qualities, some of these crank them down a bit and then start again. So Microsoft Flight Sim will get a rough idea of what way your system is. It'll give you kind of like a preloaded set of options. It could go low, medium, high or ultra. My advice would be crank it down one less than what the sim thinks you can handle, and then start adding them in yourself. What happened, Mr. Murphy, says Mr. Noble. The stream froze. I was flying in London, I changed the weather, and the sim actually crashed for the first time ever in all my alpha and beta and streaming it, which amounts to over 100 hours in this thing. It never crashed before, but it crashed tonight. I blamed the internet. And when I went back through the event viewer, Microsoft stopped communicating with the sim because it was looking for data. So I imagine it was to do with the download perhaps from the Azure platform. Keane says, tweaking my graphics to fit the flight between Donegal and Knock. I'll be up all night flying. It really is like Christmas. Oh yeah. Sean says, your channel blew up in like 4 days. Keep up the hard work. Yeah, the channel's gone nuts. Stuart says, I'm at 20. The network is so slow down here at the moment. Hang tough, Stuart. It will be all right. You and the weather, you and weather, and I'm not even here to blame. Paul McLean asks, what version is this? This is the final release version. It's the Premium Deluxe. So we're having a look at it here this evening. Many thanks for this subscribe, Phil. Hope you're keeping well. So again, you'll see reflections, light shafts and blooms as we continue on further down. Lens correction, depth of field. Depth of field is always a nice thing to have. As you zoom in on the aircraft, it'll blur out obviously the background textures just a little bit. It does look nice. Lens correction, I leave it off. You can have camera lens distortion. Lens flare, some people like it, some people don't. I use it on. Use generic plane models for your AI traffic, and use generic plane models for multiplayer. So the generic models are just generic. If you want to use optimized models, well then you would turn this to off, but that will add a bit of tankerage to your memory and CPU. So we continue on. They are the graphics. Next up we have camera. As I said before, the cameras in this sim, they're very powerful. There's a bit of head scratching, but once you get them in, they're very, very good. Mary asks, you had the beta, right? Indeed I had. Paul McLean says, USA but Irish. We're all Irish here tonight, lads. We're all Irish here tonight. Just some feedback coming in there as well in relation to the new NVIDIA drivers released. Some guys are having kind of mixed results. Let's see. I've yet to see the full impact of it. I do have lower temperatures, which is a good sign. Andrew Noble says, we need to get a message out to everybody to stop downloading. Mr. Murphy is streaming. Andrew, I do very much appreciate that. When the game finishes installation, will it automatically put desktop shortcut? It should do, Batty. If not, just click on your start button, bottom left, and type in Microsoft Flight Sim. Debarkis asks, can you try Trek IR? Probably not tonight. I'm not going to tempt fate. I've had a number of crashes this evening, so I'm going to try and behave myself. So with our camera, we have global settings, your camera selection, default when you start the sim, your camera view function. For example, when you move the camera, you want it to stay there. So if you're going to use like a hat switch and you want to pivot left or right, the camera will stay in that position. If you have it turned to toggle, well, it'll kind of like glance, and then as soon as you let go of the button, it'll go back to where it was facing. Mackie Mac says, this release is like countdown to a new year. It just is. Smart camera, again, you have so many different cameras available. You have your internal, as in cockpit, you have external, you have drone, and then you have smart cameras. So smart camera would hold a point of view. For example, if you're flying over a point of interest, the smart camera will lock onto that as you fly around. Focus mode, you can toggle it, or you can put it on auto. The cockpit camera, again, trial and error with all of these. There's not really a, what's the word I'm looking for? You have the, way you could change the size of your sim. I think it's just POV. Kind of does the same thing. Some people like flying in 80, other people like the 100, other people like 50. So this adjusts the height settings for the default cockpit camera. Now you can do this in the sim. I'll show you how to do that after a while. Camera shake, it does have a camera shake, like a head shake. It's already built into it. Flashlight mode, if you're in the dark, it'll automatically turn on your flashlight, or torch as we call them. Your free look speed and momentum. So the speed is important. If you're going, especially outside of the aircraft, if you're going to be going for, you know, the scenic shots in and around the aircraft, you want to slow them speeds right down. If it's going to be inside the cockpit, well then you can keep them fairly moving. Instrument view, so you have an instrument view mode, you can toggle that. So the aircraft comes with a number of predefined views in which you can select them. Next then we have a chase camera. With the chase camera, we asked the question earlier on, the chase camera is external view, and a lot of the arcade players, you'll see them, they'll have a HUD or a heads-up display outside of the aircraft. If you want to disable that, this is where you do it. Instrument heads-up display, turn it off. And then you can have your point of view reset, leave it to auto or manual. But again, everything you're looking at here, over on the top right, it gives you a full description. So we'll see how it all goes. David Heaslip is here, as is Daniel Tierney. Russell says, how long do you plan on streaming for? Because while late, I myself have tried to stay up to wait for my Microsoft Sim to download. Beady Birdie is now following. Good evening to you, and many thanks for the follow. I probably won't be on terribly long, considering how many times my poor little owl machine has crashed. But sure, we'll see. Reckless says, I'm going to be dead in work tomorrow, but I don't care. Paul McLean says, don't we all love work? Stuart says, Murph, you have to check out the Jersey to Guernsey and then up to Bristol via Berryhead VOR. Yo, that sounds nice. Speedy Birdie says hello. Hello, Speedy Birdie. Many thanks for the follow. Anyone seen a flight over the cliffs of Dover yet? Not sure. Reckless says they don't look great. King Gibbon says, Donegal in cloudy golden hour is a beauty. It absolutely is. So they'll be our cameras. Next up, we go to sounds. So communication selection. This is on basically what hardware you're going to be using, where you want to output the communications of the radios. So you can select default, you can go headphone simulation, communication output, or default. Warning sounds in external view, you can have that on or off. The VHF signal degradation, this is really cool. That's where you get the that's all there. Active Windows spatial sound, depends if you're using headphones or not. Text to speech settings. So you can use this to the Windows offline option, is only available if an English text to speech pack is installed in Windows. Or you use the Azure option. It's only available if connected to the internet. I like the Azure one. David Heasov asked, did I miss something? Why is your computer crashing? It only crashed once. And the reason it crashed, it actually lost internet connection. It was trying to load up too many things in the sim, and I was flying over London with OrbX. So I think it was a recipe for disaster. But I'm having internet issues here tonight. It's not on the PC. It's purely download speeds are up and down all over the shop. Jim Oates says, is this your full-time job, mate, or do you just not sleep? My usual streams, just so we all know, I usually stream on a Monday, Wednesday and Friday. And they usually last about 2 hours, 3 hours if I'm going bananas. But it's just with the release of this new sim, I said I'd clear my schedule and spend as much time as I could in it. And so far, so good. It's fantastic for the channel. I'm after getting huge growth. And, well, I get to speak to all you guys, which is lovely. Anyway, we continue. Text to speech settings Azure, that's what we have. Subtitles, you can have them on or off. Music selection. So you have the legacy Flight Simulator music is hidden in there. Color 1 and color 2. Mute audio and background. So your volume levels, everything from the master, voices, aircraft engines, you had a quick look at them earlier on. I have the music in-game turned off, only because I don't want to get anywhere near the copyright. Next thing, we can go to traffic. So, aircraft traffic type. So you can choose whether to populate the world with AI traffic. Real-time online simulates real-world traffic. This option requires a persistent internet connection. AI offline, it'll generate artificial traffic and use the setting below to customize them. And then off disables all the traffic. AI airlines traffic density and the aviation for GA density. You can change all these things depending on what way you have your traffic setting here. Again, it can have an impact on your FPS, so if you want to start everything off with these turned off and then build your way up until you find a sweet spot. Airport life, this is the ground vehicle density, the ground aircraft density and the worker density. By default, they're all set at 50. I think it does a decent enough job, but you can crank them all the way up to 100 if you so wish. And again, go through your settings and see how it all works. Luke says, hi Murphy, I have Microsoft 2020 installed, but when I try to hit fly, nothing happens. Do you know what to do? Select your airport, make sure it's down as your departure. Select an aircraft, and then it should be good. I'll talk you through it here now in a sec. We're going to get over to setting up a flight and all that stuff there now. David says, or should I say, Roger that. That's the speak now. Everything has to be Roger, Roger. What's our vectors, Victor? Dangerous Brian says, welcome back, Two-Tone. Dangerous Brian, welcome you back. I'm having a night of it. Streamflight says, 1,540 subs. Wow, I agree. It's absolutely mind-boggling. I want to say a very special thanks to everyone for all the likes, follows and subscribes. It truly is a very heartwarming experience on the channel. Philippe asks how to play with the mouse as yoke. Unsure, but we'll try and figure it out in our controls. Dara Ahern is here. He says hello. Stuart Payne says, Orbrex London will be a few pounds for me, thank God. Morning stream flight. Nice. BUB just subscribed. Many thanks. You're very welcome to the channel here tonight. I hope you're keeping well. Dara says, great vid, keep it up. Thanks a million. Miguel says, everyone, thumbs up. Kareem is here. He says, is it out now? Depends on your location. It may or may not be out. As Fork and Plateau is now following. Many thanks, dude. We're broadcasting live on YouTube and on the Twitch. And hopefully, there's no more crashes with my internet. Light a candle and put it in your window, please. Adam Pell says, does the show Croke Park if you fly over Dublin? It kind of does, but not as you would expect. Dublin definitely needs a little bit more work, but it's still a sight to behold. It's missing some of the kind of key buildings. As Beamy Noble Drew is now following. Good evening to you, and many thanks for the follow. Like, it still looks fantastic. It's missing some of the landmarks and whatever, but I think it looks grand. Jarok, have you experienced that planes take up or pull up fly before V1? Shouldn't have. Paul is here. He said he's new to the channel. You're very welcome, Paul. Many thanks for stopping by. Gustavo says, looking forward to have mine. Jealous. Corey says, Concorde. Yeah, there's a Concorde on the way, I believe. Streamfly says, are we done with Ireland? Not by a long shot, but maybe not much more of it tonight. 10 Letter says, is the Spire featured? No, unfortunately it's not. But Microsoft and Asobo have said photogrammetry will be coming to Dublin at a later date. So I imagine they'll have the whole shebang. Dara says, would you be able to go to Cork? We actually did that yesterday, Dara. If you go back on YouTube, you'll find a video when we were down there. Next up then we have land and sea traffic, leisure boats, road vehicles, ships and ferries. So again, everything is set default to 50, but you can absolutely increase them all if you want and see how it goes. What liveries are included? We'll have a look here now in a bit. Next up is data. This is important. This is very important. So online functionality. I'm flying online. Bing Data World Graphics. So they're going to be potentially gigabytes of data. Stream high quality aerial imagery. That's your ground photo scenery, I suppose. Corey says, hey bro, if you're still recording, I subscribe to you. Many thanks, Corey. Spartan says you're still going. You can't put a bad thing down. Many thanks, Corey, for the subscribe. Robert Toby asks, what is your computer specs? I have an Intel i9 9900K processor running at 5 GHz. I have an RTX 2080 Ti and 64 gigs of RAM. Which one is the Cork one? I think it will be the second video, I think. Or could it be the first one? I know it crashed somewhere along the way, and that was only the stream internet. Anyway, we continue on. As I said, the data is important. So photogrammetry, that's where it downloads the photorealistic 3D buildings. Live real world air traffic, live weather and multiplayer. These things all affect how much internets you're going to be using. Now, it'll give you an indication of your current data consumption. So 3.5 gigs, don't know how long that's for. That could be just on the initial download. I need to monitor that. But you can limit it, which is really handy. So data tracking, you can reset each day. Data limitation, so you can say, look, once I get to whatever, 100 gigs a day or 10 gigs a day or 1 gig a day, it'll stop using the above features of real world weather, real world air traffic, photogrammetry, and so on and so forth. Andy G says, I'd say the airspace will be crazy tonight. It just will. Streamfight says, what happens when you hit the data limit you set? The sim will tell you, and you'll be looking at a couple of blurry textures. Mr. Derpy Shark says, hello, have you tried getting into the sim? Because mine won't work when I press fly. Yeah, we'll have a look there now. Trigger says, I'm having trouble connecting my yoke to the sim. Do you know how to connect mine? If it doesn't automatically come in, we'll go through the controllers here now in a sec. Martin says, I can't wait to see a full sky of players. 100%. Rookie asks how to pre-download certain areas. It depends on the areas that you're flying in. You can tell the sim to have rolling cache. We'll get to that now in a sec. So this is your data limitation, as I was saying. Rolling cache. Basically what rolling cache is, it'll keep space on your hard drive for rolling cache to generate and download. So basically what you have to do, you can view it. Allows you to save 3D photogrammetry data, elevation map data, and online vegetation mask of an area you're choosing to your local hard drive. So for example, if you're going to be flying in the same area over and over and over again, this is where you want to save it. Open a cache. So the rolling cache limit is set by gigs. I currently have mine set to 50 gigs at the minute. Now be warned, this does take a lot of time. If you set it to 50 gigs, expect to sit for 10 minutes while the computer tries to figure it all out. You can set it to 500 gigs or whatever. If you have an external hard drive, those of us on X-Plane who have multiple external hard drives for all our ortho imagery, basically the rolling cache acts very similar to your ortho imagery, whereby you know you need hard drives to store the data. So if it's going to be in an area that you're constantly flying in, I highly recommend cache the data. If you put it on an SSD, I imagine it'll load in a little bit faster. So that's our data. Flight model. Modern. This is using the new modern Asobo and Microsoft settings. Alright, so basically if you're to turn this off, and you can go back to the legacy, switching the flight model will affect the realistic behavior of the flight. So legacy is the original FSX, or you have modern. So again, you can change all of these: gyro, P factor, the crash realism, torque, and everything else. So I keep it on modern because, well, I want to utilize everything that the new sim has to offer. Miscellaneous language for your menus, you can change that. Pilot avatar, so you can select a couple of different pilots. Who do you want as a visual representation of you in the aircraft? Change these. Now, I'm sure someone or some third-party developer might add in a few more. It'd be really cool if you can kind of superimpose your face onto one of these. That's just an idea. Patent pending. Quick, guys, write that one down. That's a brilliant idea. We can sell this then in the store and make pennies. But if we make enough pennies, well, sure, we know the crack with that. So you can select who or what your pilot is going to be, male or female. I'll use this. You can choose your co-pilot, try that in English, Murph. You can try your co-pilot avatar. You have the same number as well. And then your instructor for your tutorial flights, you can change them here as well. Then you have the About Flight Simulator, legal information and the credits. You can click in there and have a good read up. Next up, we look at accessibility. This will help you mainly with your menus throughout the user interface, the scale of the user interface, show tooltips. I have it set to off. I do believe there is a minor bug. That's if you hover the mouse over a certain control or button on the aircraft, it's coming up with a tooltip to say what it is. So we shall see. Background opacity, blur at the background, or bring it back again. I like that. Main color, you can change the color. For those of you, if you have issues with your site, that should help. Menu animations, again, it's a neat graphical feature that everything kind of moves, but if you're under severe pressure with your FPS, you can turn that one down. You can skip the pre-flight cinematics. Basically, if you're going to start off either parked or on the runway, it'll load through a number of cinematics. I recommend you leave the setting to off because them cinematics allow the sim to download the local files. It might be a little bit jittery, but it's loading in everything you need to get up off the ground. If you turn them on, sorry, if you turn the skip pre-flight cinematics to on, prepare for kind of a bumpy flight for a couple of minutes. Controller vibration. Again, this just affects if you're using a controller. And then down here, I'm not sure if you'll have this. You have a developer mode, so I'm not going to go into it. I'm unsure will you guys have access to that, so for obvious reasons I can't go in there. Next up, we have assistance. So these are all your in-game difficulties, I suppose. Joel is here. He says, "Hey, Two-Tone, how are we?" Very well, Joel. Great to see you here this evening. Matt Burgess says, "This is so handy to watch while downloading." Well, I'm glad. Slacker says, "I have two 10TB drives, but no games allowed." Spartan says, "I may start buying cache SSDs." Sam plays, "Are you running it off the Microsoft Store?" Yes, but your interface is going to be the same. Luke says, "I can't understand why also tutorial flights are not working. Also, the challenges are..." Yeah, look, that is strange. Let's see if we can help you out somewhere along the way. Tam says, "I've been waiting all day today, getting excited. Though I thought that I would be able to download while I sleep. I stayed up and downloaded, and the servers are too overloaded." Oh no. Corey asked, "Bro, is there a Concorde in the game? I'm going to fly it right now." There is no Concorde yet. I do believe a third-party developer is working on it though. Paul says, "Did they spend more time on the settings than the sim optimization?" Well, the settings will dictate how well your sim is optimized. So if you're not having a good experience, delve into the settings and bring them all down a notch. As Siri goes off in the background, as she usually does this time of evening. Trigger says we have the developer mode as well. Sweet. Aaron says, "I want maximum realism." Aaron says, "When first getting the game, do you have to do the huge update? Is there a way to not do it?" No, you still need to download. As Rookie 31st is now following. Many thanks for the follow, dude. You still have to do a full download of all the files, which is going to be somewhere between 90 and 100 gigs, and when they unpack, it'll be at 130 to 140 gigs. Steve-O just subscribed. Many thanks, Steve. Dara says, "Did you fly over Cove in any video?" Yes, on the same video. It's on the Cork one from yesterday. Joel says, "Started the download about an hour ago. It's about halfway done-ish." Nice. Corey says, "My dad just really wants to play this." Know the feeling. Matt says, "Really is a great help. Cheers, Two-Tone." No problem, Matt. Head Like a Rock says, 16 gigs downloaded. You're well on your way. Lachlan says, "Is the control still very sensitive?" It can be, but I'll tell you how to figure that one out. Slacker asks, "Will the deluxe planes and airports be an upgrade I can do later?" I think so, yes. Zoku, "Is this coming to Xbox One?" It's supposed to, yes. Gilad, "I'm waiting for... We know you really want to get started, but you'll have to wait a bit longer. Check the store for the launch stage to go away. I hope no additional download needed." Depends on your location. Dangerous Brian says, "I have been downloading for 2 hours and 3/4 there." Nice. Okay, so all your assistants, or assists, I suppose, they're pretty much self-explanatory. What do you want the sim to kind of hold your hand for your piloting? Aircraft and systems, unlimited fuel, aircraft lights, gyro drift. I leave that turned on only because I don't want to be resetting my compass for the initial stages. But obviously in a real aircraft, usually every 10 to 15 minutes you need to recalibrate your compass for your gyro drift. Failures and damage, crash damage. I recommend everyone turn these to disabled when you're first starting up the sim, just to get a handle on it and then see what happens. Gilad says he's in the USA. It'll be ready soon enough, I'd say, in the next 2 or 3 hours. Aircraft stress causes damage. Again, these are the things you want to leave off. Icing effect, I have it on visual only. But again, you can turn these on or off. It's entirely up to you what way you want to fly it. Navigation aids. So routes and waypoints. Your taxi ribbon, your landing path, smart cam mode, POI markers, city markers, airport markers, and fauna markers. Basically, these are on-screen menus or notifications. If you're flying in an area, it'll come up on the screen that you're over something of interest, be it an airport or a city or something like that, and they're handy to have when you're exploring. Next up, notification. Pilot and controls notification. Just whether you want on-screen notifications about control inputs. If you guys are very new to flight simulators, maybe turn this stuff on. It'll help. The aircraft systems, again, you can turn all this stuff on. It'll tell you what the aircraft is doing and give you some good flying tips to help you along the way. Joshua Holtz is here. Good day, he says. Objectives. Whether you want the on-screen objectives recommending what actions to take, and software tips. Software tips would help you with anything to do with, you know, you might experience low FPS, there could be an issue with your internet, and so on and so forth. And then lastly in here we have user experience. ATC, which is air traffic control. Do you want the UI panel to open at the start of your flight? Itachi is now following. Many thanks, dude. You're very welcome to the channel. I hope you're enjoying it so far. So basically it'll start with the ATC panel open. I leave that off. Show message logs in the ATC menu. I leave that on. That's really handy, just in case you're distracted or you couldn't hear it. Dara says, was it the 8-hour stream where you went to Cove? It was. It was. You don't need to watch the whole 8 hours. Just kind of skip through it. Aaron asks, where in Ireland am I from? I'm originally from Dublin. He controls us here. Hey there. Hey to you. Hope all is well. Very well, dude. I hope you're keeping well also. John Doe is here. Hello, Murphy. Hello, John. Hope you're keeping well. I went for my first flight lesson today. Sweet. Nice one, dude. ATC voices. Enable or disable the ATC voice. Checklist for the UI panel. Do you want that open when you start? That could be handy as well for all you new peoples. You can go by the actual checklist. Hello from Jamaica, says Deshaun. Golden Requimus here. Sup? How's it going, dude? Beaman Noble says, I'm from Docky. Nice one, dude. So they are your assists. Next up we have controls. So across the top, this will show every single controller connected to your computer. Alright, if there's something there connected to your PC, verify it first of all in Windows. Go into your control panel and check devices and make sure it's actually there. Tom McDonald has just subscribed. Many thanks, Tom. So from in here, as soon as everything's going to be set to default, and if you make any changes, it's going to ask you to rename the stuff. So if you're going to rename the stuff, just give it a name. So the controller is default, the mouse is default, the joystick for the HOTAS Warthog, that's already programmed into the sim, so hence you can see this user interface and all the buttons and what they do. That's why it's there. Joshua asks, can a gamepad work fine with this? Yeah, it absolutely can. Joel says, any way to edit the settings while downloading? No. Can Trustmaster HOTAS 1 work for this? Yeah, it can. Jack from Titanic says, I have a question. Where would we find winds on the aircrafts or weather? Can you explain a little bit more? Dose of Gaming says hi. Sam plays, is keyboard and mouse okay? It is. Not ideal, but it'll work. Now what we can do, if you click on the joystick for example and you click sensitivity, this will show you your axis. And if you're having issues with the joystick being oversensitive, rather than having kind of a straight linear approach, you can dull down the sensitivity. These are my settings. If you want to copy them, they work for me. Dead zone, I'd always allow a small little bit of dead zone, especially on your X-axis. Not so much on your Y-axis, as in up or down, but left and right, I'd always allow a little bit of dead zone. One, because I find my hand resting on the joystick when I'm flying, and if you have a yoke, you're probably going to do the same. This filter button is very important. Always bring this back to all, because this will give you an option to say, right, I want a button or a switch or an axis to control something in the sim, and if you only filter to see what's assigned, they'll populate here. The essentials, they'll populate here, but I recommend you go into all. So for example, if you want to put a landing gear onto your joystick, you can click down here, toggle landing gear, click into here, it'll ask you search by input or select an input. It'll highlight all the number buttons. If your selected hardware doesn't show up here, this is still here. So if you want to do, for example, your flight control, so if we go to assigned essentials, if we go to flight control surfaces and we go primary control surfaces, aileron left, aileron right, or aileron axes. So if you have a joystick or a yoke that isn't live or isn't appearing here in the game, go into here, go to your aileron axis. Your ailerons are your left and right movements. Select the box in here, select an input or search for an input, and then move the yoke or joystick in that direction of travel. It will find it. You select validate, and then you're good to go. The elevator controls your up and down movements. It's the same idea. You want to make sure you click on that. This should be blank if you're looking at it. You can select the input if it shows it here. Failing that, you click on this top box here, and you move the joystick or the yoke in the direction in which you want. So trigger, let me know if that works, because that's where I think you're having the issue. Now you can have a preset manager, you can reset to default, you can apply and save. I do hope they would add an export function. Now I know everyone probably has their own configurations for how they fly, but we shall see. Actually, it's interesting, now that we're in here, I do need to make a little change. So I'm going to go to autopilot, and I have an autopilot disconnect somewhere. Toggle autopilot master switch. Toggle disengage autopilot. I'm going to delete this one because I have it done to this number 2, which is a red switch. That should be my push to talk, and number 6 is going to replace that. So I'm going to just clear that input, validate, and we're done. Go back to essentials, autopilot. I'm going to click on the empty box. I'm going to search by input, and if I press the red number 2, it comes up on the screen. I'm going to validate. Doesn't give me any warnings to say that it's, you know, this button or this key has been assigned elsewhere. Now I want to select one for my radio. I'm looking for push to talk. If we go to all and radio, transponder, no. Comms. So COM 1. So if there's a push to talk, now failing that, we can just go into search. Toggle pushback, no. PPT or push to talk, no. Radio. Here's one we can't find straight away. Comms. Select com. Would it be transmit? I imagine it's going to be transmit. Select on com1 transmit. So I'm going to do that now. So this key is already used somewhere else. Do you want to bind it anyway? Yes. So my autopilot disconnect was here. I'm going to move it over to here, and I want my push to talk to be here. So if I now go to... Get rid of that. Toggle autopilot master. I want to change that. We're going to clear the autopilot and we're going to go for number 6. Now this says set elevator trim. Don't worry about that. Click that. Activate that. Validate. And now if we go, if we want to do a search by input, for example, just hit the input. It'll come up here and show you what's working. So set elevator trim is going to be deleted and save. As Ian Fisher is now following. If I missed anyone there as I'm trying to explain the stuff, just hit me up in the chat. So we continue on. So these are your controls. As I said, it's once you make a change to it, you have to give it a new name, and it'll tell you you're changing the default. It needs a new name. So again, the mouse control settings, by default it'll come up as assigned. If you go to all, you have flight control surfaces, you have primary control surfaces, and this is where you can get your mouse to say I want aileron left or aileron axis, and you can set that up to your mouse or keyboard. Dara says, how far into the 8-hour stream did you go to Cove? I couldn't tell you. Sorry Dara, I think someone might have tagged it somewhere for you. But certainly if it's the first stream, I'd say we were in Cork after about 3 hours. Bond Warner wants to know, what would the game run like on a GTX 1050, an i77K and 16 gigs of RAM? I imagine you probably get medium to high settings on that. Bond, you should do. Matt Burgess says, I can't find the trim key binding. So are you looking for like a trim wheel kind of thing? So on my joystick, we're going to go over here to search for an search by input. Control trimming surfaces, which is under your flight control surfaces. Elevator trim down, and you'll have elevator trim up. So if you want to find it, select by input, cancel that. Hide all of these. Primary flight controls. Bear with me now, we'll make all this tidier. So go into your primary flight controls. Control trimming surfaces. Jump in there, you should get sorted. What's your favourite airport at the moment and your approach? Would have to be Donegal. Joshua says 3.5 GHz quad core Intel Core i7, Nvidia GeForce GTX 780, and a 4 gig RAM. Will this run medium to high? I don't think so. Matt, make sure that over on the left hand side your filter has all. Ethan Short says, did you fly over Bray, County Wicklow in any of your streams? I think it's the second video. Near enough to the end. If just fire up any of the videos, you'll see where we're flying and then just kind of shoot ahead. So I did a lap around the country, starting off in the northwest, down the coasts, and back up towards Dublin. So if we're in Cork, well, give it an hour, and then so on and so forth. Matt, did you get sorted? I wonder. The trigger gets sorted as well, if you're still here, trigger. So that'd be your controllers, guys. Apply and save. But that's all your control stuff there. So back to our main menu, we're going to go into our world map, and this is how we set up some stuff. First and foremost, now that says Coronado Skylane, but it's giving us the thumbnail for the Robin, so we select the Coronado. In here then, the Coronado is, as I said, that's available in the marketplace. And these are all the aircraft that come with the Premium Deluxe. So if we just scroll down here, we can go for, let's just go for something kind of default. Stay away from the jets for the minute. One of these are default, I'm sure. I think. Let's just go with the Robin DR. So the Robin DR 400 liveries, when you click on liveries, they will be populated here. Again, on my version, now it did get an update. There's currently no additional liveries for a lot of the stuff, but don't worry, there will be in time. Jarok asks, what are the differences of the Coronado Skyhawk compared to the other? It's actually a Skylane. It's the Cessna 182T. It's a turbo model. It's faster. It'll fly for longer over a greater distance. And it's a third party, so it has additional features. Mainly you can open and close the doors and bits and bobs. Dosa Gaming says, I have Premium Deluxe, can't wait. Yeah, you get an absolute tonnage of aircraft. DJ Travis is here. What's your specs? I have an i9 9900K. Processor running at 5 GHz, an RTX 2080 Ti, and 64 gigs of RAM. Dave McKee says, if after all tweaking you can do, it still runs poorly, just cancel Game Pass, you're only out of £1 or $1. Dave, yeah, 100%. If you're not able to get the performance on your sim, your PC just isn't up to it yet. Perhaps an upgrade in the future, or maybe your answer will be the Xbox One. Hey, any idea how to get liveries at the moment? Vinalp, there are 1 or 2 available, but they will be made available within the marketplace or when Microsoft push out liveries themselves. I imagine there has to be some sort of a licensing thing if they have some liveries and not them all. Sam plays, can I run it well on a RX 580 with 8 gig, 16 gigs of RAM and Rosen? I think so. Ryzen 5, yeah, that should be fine. David Punch is here. Many thanks for the subscribe, David. Hope you're having a lovely evening. Gaming Boss asks, when is it coming out for Eastern Time? A couple of hours. Will I be able to run it with an RTX 2060 with 6 gig, an i5 10th gen and 8 gig RAM? Planning to upgrade RAM, by the way. Yeah, you can run it. You'll more than likely get medium settings with that. John Doe, Ryzen 7, RTX 2060, 32 gigs of RAM. Runs like butter on high, 1080p ultra wide. That's good to hear, John. So next, after our liveries, we can go to weight and balance. So your fuel, this will pretty much define how long you can fly for in the sim. It'll show you, depending on the aircraft, where your fuel tanks are located. Your payload is essentially cargo you're carrying in the aircraft, if you want to simulate some cargo. Again, for your weight and balance, you can tank it or leave it blank, it's up to you. You can then do overall weights or individual weights for your pilot, your co-pilot, and then baggage. So yeah, that would be a lovely way to be. Let's say 220 pounds is the pilot, and I don't know, 116 pounds maybe. And then baggage weight, set that to 0. Like that. And this will affect the aircraft. So if you can see ever so slightly, the center of balance has moved from the middle and it's moving ever so slightly to the left. It will have an effect on the aircraft when you try and fly it. So you'll have to apply more pressure to your right. Next up then, you can select failures if you want. This is more to do with the realism settings. So you can have actual failures happen within the aircraft. Anything from a complete failure, oil systems, an oil leak, fuel pump, or a fire. And depending on what you want out of this sim, if you're pilot training, well then procedures are always very important. What to do in the event of a fire or a major failure aboard the aircraft. You have to go through a number of checklists, and this is where the training element and the simulation, I suppose, really brings in its own. ATC options, this is where you can append your own tail number to your aircraft. I always go for November, come back to me, November 235 Romeo Mike, and I'd use that as my call sign as well. So you can just put them in there. You can append heavy to your call sign. Basically that would just let air traffic control know you're in a big heavy jet. So if you're in a small little plane, it's a pointless exercise. Unless you're nuts, of course. By which then, yes, belt away with it. Show tail number. Select that to on or off. I always leave it on because, well, you can see your tail number. So that's your aircraft. Next up now, you want to select your departure airport and your arrival. If you just want to go for fly around somewhere, you can zoom in on the map, pick a location, select it, and say set as departure or your arrival, or zoom to details. So you can zoom all the way in, and you can see that you have parking areas. That'll put your aircraft in a cold and dark state. By cold and dark, it means that the battery is off and the engine is off. Everything's turned off. Beamy Noble Drew says, I'll be streaming this all day when it comes to Xbox. Yeah, boy. Dara Hearn says, does anyone know the timestamp when you went to Cork yesterday? Hang on, Dara, we'll try and search out here now, lad. Let's see. Look at all the silly videos I have now tonight. Stupid stream that keeps breaking. Bear with me now, we'll get you sorted. Do-do-do-do-do-do. I can delete that. Oh, I pressed the wrong button. And delete that. Okay, so videos. So you want to see the one flying in Ireland. Bear with me now and we'll find you. We have a notification. Jared Klein has just subscribed. Many thanks, dude. I hope we're having a nice evening. Steve is here as well. Many thanks, Steve. Hope we're keeping well, dude. Janie, lads, it's all happening. Or Kerry just subscribed. Many thanks. Thanks for all the subscriptions, guys. It means a lot. Now, let's see if I can find this for you. We're looking for Cork. Do. Samuel Wright just subscribed. Many thanks for the subscription, dude. See, is this Cork? That looks like Cork. Okay, so the video you're looking for, it's the one that's 4 hours and 35 minutes long. And if you skip to about 1 hour and 42 minutes in, you'll find Cork. Welcome from across the pond, says S. White. Many thanks. Blue Boy Ocean says, do flights in the sim take as long as in real life? Yes. Mehdi is here. Good evening, Mehdi. Good to see you, dude. Hope you're keeping well.
Hey, good morning.
As William has subscribed. Many thanks, William. I hope you're having a lovely evening. Corey Schwartz is mad for us to get flying. Ethan Short wants to know, is there any news when it's coming out on Xbox? Not yet, I'm afraid. Josh asks, are there aircraft carriers you can land on? Not to my knowledge. So, anyway, back to where we are. So you can select parking or on the runway. We'll set that as a destination or as a departure. You'll notice down here on the bottom right hand corner, fly isn't there. However, once I have my aircraft selected and I select an area as my departure, it'll now activate. Now before you do anything else, there's a couple of more things to do. So you can actually select manually to say where you want to park. This will move you along. Then you can select your arrival airport, or just type in, if you know the ICAO code, which is ICAO, if you know that, you just type it in there. If you don't know what it is, just type in the area. Or you can do a search down here. Once you have that done, this gives you information about Donegal. It's giving you a current read that the wind is 270 at 4 knots. The frequencies will show you for the ATIS, which is basically an automated terminal information service, or basically the weather. At the ground, you talk to the ground before you talk to the tower, because you need to move on the ground first. Going up here to flight conditions, multiplayer mode. If you fly live, you'll notice that you have to fly the real world time, real world weather, and you have to fly by the real world procedures. Don't go into that if you're only starting off. Best thing to do, you can play with all the players, or off, which is group only. So other players will not be visible with the exception of group members. So if you have a number of friends that you want to fly with, you'll invite them all into this and you guys have a group flight. Jerry McCauley is here. Good evening, Jerry. Where are you after tonight? Is Jerry on the list? Jerry, we did most of our flying earlier on. We took off from Weston and we went to the Isle of Man. Then my internet crashed. Then we went from the Isle of Man and we went across, looked at Blackpool, Liverpool and Manchester. Then we flew down to London, and then the whole sim crashed, and I'm back now, and I just said I'll do a little stream here just with a couple of the initial setups, I suppose. But yeah, we'll jump into the actual sim here now really shortly. So the multiplayer, leave it off. Why leave it off unless you're flying it online with other players or with live players? I tend to use group only. AI traffic, you can have live traffic, you can have AI traffic, or you can leave it off. Live traffic is going to be using the actual real world live traffic, and your multiplayer, it depends, you'll see their traffic as well. AI, that's the sim going to generate its own traffic, which you can control how many planes or stuff you want to see. Matty says 83 gigs, OMG. Whiskey River. Yeah. Hang on. Are we sure that airport code is correct, Whiskey? Just let me know there in a sec, would you? Okay. GRE. Okay. Parking at the ramp. Select as departure. Flight conditions. So I'm going to go for a preset with the weather and time, only because I don't want to fly at night time. We'll make it daytime. You can use presets for your weather. You can go live weather, or clear skies, few clouds, scattered clouds, broken clouds, high level clouds. Basically, you're God and you can change the way the weather is. Bill says, are you able to download it before it actually releases? Because I can't here in SoCal. Good evening, Bill. Bill, you could change your location in your settings. The guys over in Ireland have been doing that for most of tonight. Firefighter is back. He says, also go to K-Rock. Eric Rollers is here. PC specs. It's an i9 9900K processor at 5 GHz. The RTX 2080 Ti and 64 gigs of RAM. So we'll go with a few clouds here in the middle of the day. But all of this looks good. And for me, that's pretty much good to go flying. Just on the map as well, you can open up your filters. You can change your background map, which would be satellite only. Blend it with VFR or IFR. So I blend it. The weather, you can have clouds or rain, or leave it off. I leave it on clouds. Wind effect, kind of like the Windy app. It'll show you your ground wind speed, low altitude and high altitude. You can show your friends on the map, airports, what airports you want to be looking at, and then different airspaces. So you can turn all these guys on and it'll show you all your nav aids and airspaces. Show the legend, give you your information up here on the top right, basically what you're actually looking at in the sim. So we're going to fly this one. Alistair asks, what's the performance like? Pretty good. Your loading times will vary. It depends also on the load on the servers. Generally, it's relatively fast. As Void asks, what flight controls am I using? I have the Thrustmaster Warthog joystick and throttle, and I have the Thrustmaster TPR pedals, which are really nice. So this is the preloading or the preview that we saw in our menus back there a few minutes ago. Whiskey says, fun fact, this is the very first commercial airline company in the world flew from St. Pete, just south of where you're taking off, to Tampa. Nice! He controls. He's only dying for me to press that button. Okay. So your default view is going to be here in the cockpit. Now you can map a whole load of buttons, and you can save said buttons. So I'm just going to set up my views here. So we need this one. And this one. We like having a wing view. Bill's going to go mad because he can hear the keys typing. Sorry, Bill. I'll try to be a little bit more gentle. Here. That'll do. Okay, so I have a couple of views set up just so I can see what's going on. If you press the end key by default, that'll open up your external camera. And again, you would have a HUD sitting here. Don't forget, you can go back into your camera controls and turn that off. To pan around, you can map some keys to it, or you can use default. I've mapped my own ones, just to be aware of that, because I find these more comparable to what I'm used to over in X-Plane. So you can change what buttons move what. So if you're on the ramp like this and you want to say, I want to change something, hit the escape key, up comes this menu, and you can now go straight into start editing your controls, which is really handy. So a couple of things while we're on the ground here. You'll notice up the top of the screen you have a menu bar. So the first one is going to be your ATC. You can talk to the air traffic control. Bear in mind you need your radios turned on in order to do it. Next up you have your camera controls. So you have your smart cam. You can select cockpit, camera or showcase. That's basically this drone camera in which I use my Xbox controller to control the drone. Really handy. A very powerful camera because you can just go exploring places with this. This is a super nice area. Look at that for a bridge. Holy moly. So yeah. Francois says the UI is really gorgeous compared to any other previous flight sim. It just is. It's absolutely stunning. And again, you remember from our avatar selection earlier on, there are peoples in the plane. And you can change the look of them. You can put them into, you know, commercial pilots and whatnot. Because we have some ground crew here as well. So continue on with some of our menus here. Checklists. So this will go through the checklist for your aircraft. Again, if you're using the real world procedures, you would follow checklists. Whiskey says I got my first speeding ticket on that bridge. Nice. After your checklist, you can have your basic controls. So this will remind you what everything does. And you can set different profiles. For example, you could save your airliner controls, give them a name, call it airliner. You can say this is my microlight or business jet, and so on and so forth. Francois has subscribed. Many thanks. I hope you're having a good evening. AI control. So you can have your AI control the checklist. The AI can control your radio comms, and they can even control the aircraft if you wish. Again, that's really helpful for the new peoples. Next, we can go through our weight and balance and reset our fuel in the sim. We have our navigation log. We haven't done much yet. Any objectives if we're flying from place to place. So this is saying prepare the aircraft for taxi, release your parking brake if it's applied. Travel to, no flight plan set. Go into your map here. So showing you a VFR map in which you can zoom in or zoom out. Gives you a good overview of the airport. You can figure out where the different taxiways are. Also the runway heading. You can go with the ISO line, or you can go GPS tracking. That's basically a follow me map, which is real handy. Next up then you have your weather options. Now because we're using a preset, we can select it here. We have our time of day in which we can adjust. You just kind of drag and move that slider, and as you can see, the lighting model in this sim is absolutely jaw-dropping. And if you really want to play around with the weather, apart from a flight simulator, this thing is a weather sim. Absolutely fantastic. So if you change the time of day or the weather, you can do it all from in here. So it does look really nice. Now I can give you a full demo on the weather, but you guys are going to have too much fun yourselves doing that. But I absolutely recommend, highly recommend, just have a chilled out flight, sit in a ramp somewhere and completely play around with the weather. because it's going to be absolutely fantastic. Put on a thunderstorm, you can listen to it in the background. It's super cool. D1 Anuj has just subscribed. Many thanks, dude. Ryan Montgomery saying, can you go to Aldergrove? It would be very much appreciated. Ryan, we're up that neck of the woods yesterday. If you go back in through YouTube, you'll see them there. We were up in Belfast yesterday if you want to have a look. Production Stops is now following. Many thanks for the follow, dude. I hope you're having a pleasant evening. You can customize this toolbar ribbon. You can turn things on or off. A handy feature, I suppose, if you just want to be using one or two different menu options. They're all located in there. So to turn off the camera mode, you have to hit the camera button. Sorted Canon 216 has just subscribed. Many thanks, dude. So if you're in this drone camera and you're trying to get back into your cockpit, you have to hit the insert key or go back up to your views and jump back into your cockpit. And now we're back here where we belong. So, pushback. The default controls to get a push back is using the left shift key, press and hold it, and then press P. And then this dude should spring into action and start getting ready to push your aircraft. While he's doing that, we can turn on the battery. Already got some lights going here as well. Let's see. Beacon light needs to come on. Taxi lights can come off. Now I have seen a couple of small little glitches. They might go through the airplane. Was it the YouTube video across the pond, mate? The one up in Belfast? No, it was one of the ones from yesterday. I think it was the 8-hour stream video from yesterday. Now he's trying to move. We're moving quite slow. You can see everyone's shaking. I have the parking brake on. Turn off the parking brake and hey presto. They'll push you back. Now they'll keep pushing you, so you got to remember to press the left shift and P again to stop it. Dave says control and space resets the camera as well. It surely does, Dave. Many thanks for the tip. So before we're backed into that TBM over there, we'll get our due to finish. We'll put back on our parking brake and we'll jump back inside. So as we get this aircraft ready, we have some lights on. That's the fuel pump. Fuel pressure is building. Turn off the pump. Turn on our mags. And we want to go for a start on the engine. And that view there is probably a little bit better. Now, how familiar are you with this plane, Murph? I'll take it, we have a starter button. Carburetor heat, fuel pump. Philip Pheasant has just subscribed. Many thanks, dude. Now, what am I not doing right? Fuel, shut up. What's this one now? Starter button. Ah, there it is. So we have mixture set to rich. Press and hold our starter button. Engine comes alive. Good start in the engine. As Dos Gatos has subscribed. Many thanks, dude. Go ahead and turn up some volume here so you guys can hear the engines. Not familiar with this aircraft at all, but we'll figure it all out. That's our mixture. Good. That's our throttles. That's good. Taxi landing lights and pitos. Probably won't need them, but we'll turn them on anyway. A little light on the dash here as well. The November 235, that's from our ATC menu. That's your tail number. You can test your emergency transponder. Speaking of transponder, we need to turn on our avionics. That's our fuel pump, Murph. Alternator on. Let's see now. It would be really handy if I read the manual. There we go. Al Dale is here. Good evening to you. Hope you're keeping well. Alice says it's on the key. -20 downloading. When deliveries for the HG20 come out? Don't know, dude. Adele says I'm doing well. Francois says I'll miss my quality wings and PMDG until they release something on MFS, which they will no doubt do. Transponder, because we're stateside, we'll go to altitude on, and we'll set to 1200. Mr. Skyhawk says, do you really like FS 2020? Yeah. I am long of is now subscribed. Many thanks, dude. As Flight Sim Canada is now following. Many thanks, dude. Thanks for streaming. No bother at all, guys. Hope you're all keeping well. It's only a kind of a short stream. I did the main one there tonight, and I've had loads of problems with my internet, and everything's breaking and crashing and exploding. So yeah, we're here doing our thing. How is? Right, so we're going to get flying here now, just to show off this area, and we'll see what we can do. So we're going to get parking brake 2 off. We're going to taxi out here to our right hand side. As you can see, the lovely grass is modelled to perfection, as we've had our very first stutter. This is the first time I'm using the new updated drivers from NVIDIA, so hopefully they're working okay. All should be revealed. Gervon has just subscribed. Many thanks, dude. Really appreciate it. Have some random traffic from the airport. Game Clips has just subscribed. Many thanks, dude. Hope you're keeping well. And we want to taxi out to the runway. So let's see where the runway is. Oh, we're technically on a runway. And we have another runway. App Kerman has just subscribed. Many thanks, dude. I don't necessarily want to taxi here if there's going to be... Oh no, the cars are gone. We'll continue on down and we'll go on to the bigger of the two runways. Why not? Some lights on our panel here. Eek, we don't hit that. You're going to come across one or two small bits and bobs with some of the airports, especially the ones that aren't handcrafted. Like they've done a splendid job on them. But yeah, Whiskey River says I feel like an 8-year-old at Christmas time. My PC specs are, I have an i9 processor, 9900K at 5 GHz, an RTX 2080 Ti, and 64 gigs of RAM. So I'm not going to use any flaps for takeoff here. So we're going to set our mixture to rich. Power is set. Airspeed is alive. Try and keep ourselves on the center line. Coming up now on 50 knots. We're getting light. There's 60 knots. Ooh. A little bit of a shaky takeoff, but we're grand. We're climbing here now. Brett Johnson has just subscribed. Many thanks, Brett. You're very welcome to the stream. So as we climb on out here, really nice location, this place. Curtis is here. I'm also from Ireland, from Limerick, but don't have an Irish accent. I was just born there. That's quite okay. Like it or not, we're all Irish tonight in this stream. I'm past the peak of the server crush. I don't think so. It's still fairly moving. DeBarcus, what are your FPS? Am I in 4K? I'm not in 4K. FPS are 55 at the minute. Delta Mike Flight Sim says, so stunning, it really is. So, no particular place to go. We're just going to fly around and see what we can see here. So as we fly, I'll disappear. Get a bit of music going. Right, using some of our external cameras. They can mess around with different camera angles and stuff, and it's just a really nice place to hang around in. Captain Austin Hall Music is here. Many thanks for the follow, dude. Hope you guys are all keeping well tonight. Many thanks for joining me so many times on so many different streams as I try and figure out my internet woes. I blame all you people for downloading the sim. Chris is also following. Many thanks, dude. I hope you're keeping well and having a pleasant evening. Matt says, I'm surprised how well this runs. It runs pretty well. Captain Austin Hall says, many thanks for the content over the past few days. Absolutely stunning. Sláinte from Dallas, Texas. Thank you so much. That means a lot. Chris says, I'm good. Thank you. Good stuff. Paddy asks, do I see a difference with the new driver? I had one stutter. That can't be good. The sim is still getting worked on. It is. There's a number of patches in the pipeline. There's also new features to be added relatively soon. There's a number of third-party developers going to be launching their products in the coming days and weeks. William says, I live in Arizona, but they told me flight sim will work in 2 hours, 2100 his time. Good stuff. Jeff Taylor asks, did I change the tail number? I did. So when you select your aircraft, down to the options on the left hand side you'll see ATC options. Go in there and you can put in your own tail number. Breen says, sorry I was away for a bit there. Where are we flying currently? We're over in the US of A, near Tampa in Florida. Daniel George says that craft will barrel roll real nice. Well, because you've asked me so nicely, let's go for it. Guys, hold on to your seats. I wouldn't say very nice. And with that, our lunch has been left on the passenger seat. Greetings from Brazil, says Delta Mike. It's a totally different flying in comparison to P3D. Yes, the flight model is so much more different. It's comparable to X-Plane standard. Whiskey River says, you literally almost crashed into my house. I saw you out in the garden enjoying a barbecue with your fine weather. And as we fly in this view, time for a shameless plug. Because why not? And it works. Many thanks, Gallic, for the subscribe there. Can we see a stall, please? Sure. Let's gain a bit of altitude first. So bear with me. So just so you guys know, I'm just going to drop a Discord link if you want to continue the discussion further. Dangerous Brian is away. Enjoy your day, guys. Brian, many thanks for all your help tonight. As per always, couldn't have done it without you. So if you guys are new to the channel and you like this content, you can join us over on Discord. Hopefully sorting you out with some help tutorials and some media files from your flights. Fraser is asking how long was the download. For me, it was about 6 hours. So let's see, can we manage a stall here? We're a little bit low for a stall, but sure. Let's see what happens. Ewan Fogarty has just subscribed. Many thanks. So this is going to be interesting. Saturn28 just subscribed. Many thanks, Saturn. Hope all you guys are having a wonderful evening tonight. There's a stall horn. And there's a dip of the wing. There you go. Power to full. Don't hit the house. So the stall model is quite good. John says, much love from Somalia. Loves the way the game plays. Moo Boy just subscribed. Many thanks. Valeria Badra has just subscribed. Thanks a million, guys. Grant says, love your Irish accent. Also, what graphics card are we running? We're using the RTX 2080 Ti. As Jeff San just subscribed to the channel as well. Thanks so much, guys. Really feeling the love here tonight. My channel has seen exponential growth over the last 48 hours. We started off with about 600 subscribers. I think we're up around 1,500 already. And you might say that's not many, but Jesus, try and invite us all around to dinner. E-Control says, I downloaded the game in about 10 minutes. I'm not jealous. Mr. Blood Gaming is now following. Many thanks, dude. I have to say, there's absolutely beautiful, beautiful scenery here. Many thanks for the subscribe, Grant. Sebastian is here. Good evening to you. We're flying near Tampa, state of Florida. All happening now. HK is here. I can't see who's behind you, so if I missed you, just give me a shout. Ascola has just subscribed. Many thanks. Cougar Got Game just subscribed. I like that name. That's a cool name. Thanks so much, guys. I'm sitting here chuffed. John has just subscribed as well. Thanks so much, John. I hope you're having a pleasant evening. Chris and Man is here. Good evening. Blaze O'Shea, or is it Blaze O'C, has just subscribed. Many thanks, Blaze. Holy Smoke is now following. Thanks a million. As Nightstalker just subscribed as well. Oz Racer is now following. It's all happening now, lads. Ace LP is now following. Thanks so much, guys. Pedro has subscribed. Good evening to you, Pedro. And Enrique is now following as well. Thank you so much, guys. It means the world to me. I do hope you enjoy the content on this channel. We're live on YouTube and Twitch here this evening. Managed a couple of streams over the last few days. I was lucky enough that Microsoft reached out to me to give me an early release of the sim. So I've had it for the last couple of days. I was also on the alpha and beta team. Weirda is here. Many thanks for the follow. Moon Ducky says, can you fly naked? In the sim or in real world? Adam Clark just subscribed. Many thanks, Adam. I hope you're keeping well and you're enjoying your evening on the release day of Microsoft Flight Simulator. Man, it looks good, doesn't it?
Hey, good morning.
Telchi is now following. Good evening to you. Soul is asking, what difficulty are you on? So in terms of difficulty, it's more to do with kind of weather settings, aircraft settings. Moonducky wants to know clarification. Do I ever? No, I don't. You wouldn't know your luck. You might just catch me on the right evening. Misc River says, incredible, thanks for doing the area. I've been looking at it in videos for a couple of weeks now. No problem at all, dude. Batty asks, how much GPU temp do I get with the new drivers installed? I've gone from kind of 70 to 80 down to about 75. Chris W has subscribed as we fly out towards St. Petersburg. Donny Mac has subscribed. Good evening to you. There's a big community of them pilots in Tampa. Nice. The Real Wise Guy asks, does the sim have all the airports? Pretty much. There's 40-odd thousand airports in the world, and I think the sim is up on 35 or 36,500 of them. So there's a few missing, but by and large, yeah, they have them. Easy Nix asks, is this a game? It's a game or a simulator, depending on your persuasion. Available on the Microsoft Store, also on Steam. Is this a mission or a free flight? This is a free flight. It almost looks real. It surely does. I saw cars moving. So it simulates a whole lot of things. So apart from the cars and the scenery and the the roads and the trees and the water, the weather is a sight to behold. It is by far the best weather engine I've seen in any platform, be it a simulator or a game. And you can play the role of God. You control the weather. Steve Austin is here. I crashed into my house, so now I'm dead. Twice. And that's the bottom line, Steve. Gregory Thomas asks, when will it be on Xbox? There's no official release date just yet. It could be a matter of weeks or months. As we fly over St. Petersburg here in Florida. I have to say, guys, this is a really nice part of the world. You have beautiful scenery here. Buggerup's video says, what does that mean for active sky? I think it'll become inactive. Is that the Rays Stadium? I'm not sure. I'm not from the area, but if someone can confirm if it is, it does look mighty nice. The Tampa Bay Rays. Sweet. Air Hollier in this game would be awesome, says the Luch M. Yeah, 100%. Specs for your PC, an i9 9900K processor running at 5 GHz and an RTX 2080 Ti, along with 64 gigs of RAM. Is it easy to tell if another plane is a player or a bot? Yes. There's various multiplayer modes on this. As Lord Chive just subscribed. Many thanks for the subscription, dude. I really appreciate it. And to everyone watching this live and in the chat, be it on YouTube or Twitch, thanks so much for taking the time out of your day to join me. We have a look at this beautiful new simulator from Microsoft and Asobo Studios. I'm having an absolute blast in it. So this stream tonight, I've been doing a couple of streams tonight. The world has gone nuts with the internet because, well, everyone's downloading this. So I've had a couple of interruptions to my normal streaming service. But this most recent stream, for which we've been up for the last 2 hours, it goes through a lot of the initial setup after you installed it. Going through the menus and settings and what things do. So when this video is finished, it'll be uploaded to my YouTube channel, Two Tone Murphy, and feel free to check it out there. There are a number of fantastic YouTubers and streamers, as Trey1039 is following. Many thanks. I would point you in the direction of Squirrel, Ozflight Simmer, Catstrater, Chewy94. Crosscheck has some stuff there as well. And the Reaction Review is going to be doing a lot of tutorial videos. He's a real world flight instructor, so I'm looking forward to his content. So keep an eye on them all on YouTube, guys. Mark Muller just subscribed. Many thanks, Mark. I hope you're having a nice evening. Airplane Mike is here. Many thanks for subscribing, dude. Man, this scenery is off the hook. It's beautiful here, isn't it? Most of my content, I've been flying around Ireland, and it's nice. Vishal is here. Many thanks for the subscribe, dude. So if you guys have any interest to see what little old Ireland looks like in the sim, I have to say it looks beautiful. Richie Canuck is now following. Many thanks. As is Jun. Good evening to you both. I hope you're having a pleasant evening. And thanks for joining me. Paul is here as well. Many thanks for the subscribe, Paul. So my background, I've usually stream X-Plane 11 stuff and make videos over there. Path is here as well. Good evening to you. So most of my content up until now has mainly been X-Plane stuff, which is grand. What does that voice say? It's a trucker and he goes, "Hey, good buddy." Or if you do a Twitch subscribe, he'll say, "That's a big 10-4, good buddy." Six Dog just subscribed. Many thanks. So can we play this right on release? Yep. As soon as it downloads and installs, you're good to go. Paul Evans just subscribed. Thanks so much, Paul. I really appreciate it. And I hope you're having a pleasant evening. Look at this place. Absolutely amazing. Paul asks, do you like this a lot better than X-Plane? I do, at times, yeah, 100%. Now, they are two very different sims. As Larry Sanson joins in the subscriptions. Many thanks, Larry. With X-Plane, if you're going into the more of the systems modeling. Many thanks, David. Thanks for taking the time out to join here tonight. With X-Plane, especially with a lot of the avionics. Franco De Palma has subscribed. Good evening, Franco. Now, with X-Plane, a lot of the avionics modelling at times seem to be superior. Roger Askey is here. Good evening, Roger. But I will say, this sim looks absolutely stunning. Oh, I forgot to mention Frugal Pete. You guys should check out Frugal as well. A lot of tutorials, and it'll teach you how to fly. Stephen says, who needs avionics? I just said it. Many thanks, Jack. Heat wants to know, just got a question, can you land on roads? You can. Haj Ali has subscribed. Many thanks. You can land on roads, but just be aware that the terrain won't be as flat as you think. Roberto, good evening to you, sir. Lord Habik wants to know, how does multiplayer work between Steam and the Microsoft Store? They all operate off Microsoft's servers, so there will be no issue there. Randy Jones says, awesome, you've reached 500 viewers. Holy smokes, I have. Hey everybody. As it says, 2 more hours to release in my region. Steve Brayford just subscribed. Many thanks, Steve. Airplane Mike says, my first flight sim game was Flight Sim for Windows 95. Same as that. Flight Sim 95, then Flight Sim 98, and so on, and so on, and so on. Chance is now following. Thanks a million, guys. I'm overwhelmed by the love and support. Max Jordan 123456 is now following. Moon Ducky says, imagine a GTA game this huge. I know, right? I am the Waller 67 is now following. And Minnie Welch just subscribed. Thanks so much, guys. SSG Trom and Zinkow is now following. Thanks a million, guys. Who we got here? We have Mad Matt 112 is now following. And we have Scott. Many thanks, guys. Chester Cheeto is here. And Smooth Imperial has just subscribed. Thanks a million, guys. 10 Letters 65 is here. Many thanks for the follow. Bola is here as well. Moon Ducky 78 is following. Thanks so much, guys. Brett Bolton has also subscribed. Where have you guys come from? Does someone just flick on a switch and say, oh look, Two-Tone Murphy is flying in America. Quick, check him out. The night I've been having. The stream is like crashed 3 times. The stream, I might add, not the sim. The sim is, well, bar one crash since all my alpha and beta testing. It crashed tonight when I was trying to fly down in London City. I got a crash. But apart from that, it's been absolutely bulletproof. Break a leg says, no difference to real life. Very little. It looks absolutely amazing. You can see where it has St. Petersburg, Florida in the background. You can turn all these options on and off. You can basically get the sim to hold your hand if you're a complete newbie, or you can turn everything off if you're an experienced flight simmer. Black Magnet has just subscribed. As it says, you're really lucky, mate. Enjoy the game. People are still waiting for the release. Don't worry, guys. Soon. Mad Matt has subscribed. Mate, Jay Cajun is here as well. Sweet. Jaden Damson has subscribed as well. Thanks a million, lads. Six Dog wants to know, am I on ultra settings? Close enough to them, yeah, pretty much. Slender 169101 has just subscribed. SSG Tron wants to know, am I from Ireland? Yes, I am from Ireland. Streaming to you live from the county of Tipperary. Emmanuel is here. Many thanks for the subscription. Tipperary says you're flying over my work. Aziz is now following. Many thanks, dude. Robert Mallory has just subscribed. Thanks a million, guys. Hank Junkman is now following, as is Donald Miller. How's the weather over there? It's well, it's Ireland, so it's raining and snowing and sunny and dry all at the same time. Moses Ramirez has just joined. Many thanks for the subscription, dude. I hope you're having a pleasant evening. And this is just one little small area. The entire planet is in this sim, guys. And they use photogrammetry, which is a lot of this. That's why everything looks absolutely 100% spot on. The right colours on the buildings, the right shapes, the right areas. There's other areas that are covered that may not look as detailed as this, but to be honest, there's not much in it. Moses says we're going viral. Donny Mac. This is the Robin Dior 400. This comes in the standard version of Microsoft Flight Sim. So if you guys are on the fence about it, double check your system specs that they meet the minimum. You can get this. It's available on the Microsoft or the Xbox Game Pass. I think it's only a couple of dollars a month. If you wanted to try that, see what you think of it. But I think the year that we're all having in this year of 2020, this is an absolute godsend because it gives everyone the ability to travel the world, be it a simulated world, in a very unrestricted way. And I love that. Wolfpack says, Chip, don't just watch your Sligo video and you fly over the castle I live in. Nice. Could you do the flight and do a low pass? I want to see the 3D model of the castle. Sure, we'll have a look there tomorrow if we get a chance. Aziz says, sorry, if you're on Twitch, guys, if you just do !specs, that'll give you the specs that I'm currently running. Xbox One, yes, it's supposed to release on Xbox One. They haven't given an official release date just yet. I imagine it will be this side of Christmas though. Yeah, I can't get the specs thing working on YouTube. One thing at a time. As I said, yesterday I had, well, 48 hours ago I had like 600 subscribers. I've nearly 2,000 now. It's gone nuts. So my specs are an Intel i9 9900K processor running at 5 gigahertz. I have an RTX 2080 Ti graphics card and 64 gigabytes of RAM. And so far it does the job. Yuki is here. I'm from Connecticut. Will be awesome to visit my town of Danbury. As Tater Bader is now following. Many thanks for the follow. I do hope you're having a pleasant evening. Subaru Forester probably won't get to Peru this evening. Jordan Hawkins is asking, where are you flying right now? We're near St. Petersburg, which is near Tampa here in Florida. Kendall Steer said, just deleted X-Plane, made room for Microsoft Flight Sim. That's all, just subscribed. Thank you very much. As did M. Barman is now following over on Twitch. It's absolutely stunning scenery here. Johnny Mac asks, could you fly over your hometown in Ireland? I have done. If you swing onto YouTube, you'll see a number of videos. Dinner T says, I've taken off work just to play all day. Nice. Ducky Diamond has just subscribed. Many thanks for the subscription, my dude. Jacob says, when I try to download Microsoft Flight Sim, it only downloads 1 gig. Open that file once it downloads. There'll be an exe in it. And it'll then start pulling down the other 90 odd gigs of data that you need. Pilot Boy says, maybe equip up a mean storm. What I'm going to do, when I get landed, I'll go through 1 or 2 different bits of weather because it has a fierce habit of causing problems when I change the weather. Because I'm using OBS all on the same PC. Philip ZX3 has just subscribed. Many thanks, Philip. I do hope you're keeping well. So we're going to bring this puppy in for a landing. Dinner Thief has just subscribed. Thank you so much. Check out the reflections there on the window. Pretty cool looking, huh? Jordan asks, can I fly through Canada one day? Yeah, boy. I want to head up to Stewart and Bellacoola. I want to head up by Toronto, Vancouver. Canada will be getting the love. Ryan Montgomery is here. Where are you at? We're flying up near St. Petersburg over in Florida, near Tampa. Dr. DJ Jello says, any tips? I'm stuck with about 3 gigs left on the install. Just double check your task manager, go down to your Ethernet or Wi-Fi, and that'll explain if anything is loading or not. Gavin is great, just subscribed. Good evening to you, Gavin. Many thanks for subscribing. As we come in for a landing, give me a little camera back on. How he is. Industrial Punk has just subscribed as well. So we're way too fast and we're way too high, but the runway looks like it's long enough. So let's see what happens here as we focus on the water. Howby just subscribed. Many thanks. Mind the runway there, Murph. You kind of need to land on that. That's important. On runway 22 as we get ourselves lined up at our center line. We want to just float in, hold this off as long as we can. That'll get our speed right down. We go for a gentle touch on the runway. Any time there now, Murph. Contact on the back. And contact on the front. Nice. We'll probably make this exit just here. Maybe not. We'll go for the next one. Many thanks, Kevin. You're very welcome to the channel. I hope you're enjoying the content. Oh, there was a bump. There was another bump. Could the maintenance department please fix the runway? Your boy just subscribed. Good evening to you. Team unlocks and installs at 12 AM Eastern Time. Nice. SSG says, what resolution am I using? This is 1080p. As Dalton Mooring just subscribed. Good evening to you. The peripherals I use are the Thrustmaster HOTAS Warthog. That's got the stick, throttle, and I have the pendular TPR rudder pedals as well. Reed Freak 1 has just subscribed. Good evening to you. I hope you're keeping well. Spartan says, holy crap, you're doing another all-nighter. I've been doing this all, well, not all week. I've been doing this since like Saturday. And every night I do a stream. I stream Monday, Wednesday and Saturday, usually. But I had access to this a little bit early, so I said I'd jump in. Caden Fun Times has just subscribed. Many thanks. And all the streams I've been doing over the last couple of nights, I've said to myself, we might do 2 hours or 3 hours. Like, Ian Griffin has just subscribed. Good evening, Green. Or Ian, rather. Yeah, I've streamed for like 8 or 9 friggin' hours, and it's just... I have a very understanding wife. And a very long list of chores. Heat wants to know what are the in-app purchases. So you can get a couple of sceneries from Orbex. You can get one plane from Coronado. They've released their Cessna 182. As we go ahead now, set our parking brake. Avionics little switch. Turn that one off. Got our mixture. That'll kill our engine. Get our mags off. Alternator and battery. Sweet. So what we're going to show you now is a bit of weather.
Hey, good morning.
And hopefully this doesn't break. So would you like to see some rain? And we're going to change the time of day to something kind of nice. Peter asks, is my GPU better now? A little bit. It seems to be behaving itself. Now when I talk about weather, I mean weather, so bear with me. Aerosol density, you need to come up the road a bit to about here. And that looks kind of good. So what we're going to do, we'll zoom out, and if you look very closely, rain doesn't just fall out of the sky. It moves. You don't need my ugly mug in the way. I'll disappear me. And we're just going to chill out looking at some weather here for a sec. Patra XD, happy birthday to you. Devin Banner is here. Good evening. Stephen says cool. Jordan says I live in Newfoundland in Canada. Yeah, that's going to be on the list. William asks, how does the Warthog and TPR work with Flight Sim? Like a dream. Devin Banner says, do you have spotter mode? Will you have a drone camera so you can move around? Extreme Gamer asks, how did you disable the HUD? If you go into... I'll do it now, look. Go into General. Go into Camera. Go all the way down. Chase Camera. Instrument Heads-Up Display. Turn that to off. If I turn that to on, if you guys want to fly outside the airplane, it'll give you a heads-up display like this. Which can be really handy if you just want to fly outside. Patricio is here. Good evening. Jax has just subscribed. So you can follow a live plane. There's... Yeah, I think I know what you mean, but I have yet to figure out a way of following actual moving traffic. DT Oracle is here. Many thanks for the subscription, dude. The real Xbox commented and you don't care.
Hey, good morning.
Is that right? Can you configure that display on the outside? I'm not too sure. Devin Banner has subscribed. Many thanks, dude.
Hey, good morning.
Harry Noonan, many thanks for the subscription. If you're looking at the weather in the background, guys, the rain moves. As the weather doesn't just, as I said, fall out of the sky. I've never seen a weather engine like this. Absolutely amazing. Les Gaming is here. Many thanks for the follow.
Hey, good morning.
As is Isra Smith. Or Isaiah Smith. Sorry if I butchered the name there. I'm an Irish fella speaking English. It's never going to turn out good. Otex just subscribed as well. You can hear droplets hitting the skin of the real aircraft. Not only that,
Hey, good money.
Inside the real aircraft, you have rain hitting the windows, which is nuts, right? A GPU is an RTX 2080 Ti.
Hey, good money.
As the color black has just subscribed. Many thanks, guys. What a night of subscriptions and follows and likes. Holy humbugs. Thank you all very, very much. Deeply grateful to you. Thanks for taking time out of your day for joining me here.
Hey, good money.
Vengeance is now following as well. Now we're going to go even really fancier because we're in Florida.
Hey, good money.
This view, please, Murph. Or MHD Productions has subscribed. Thank you so much. Patrick says, well, if I can't donate, I will sub. Donations are not necessary, guys. Hold on to your few spondoolies, put them into the sim when you buy it. There are a number of add-ons there. The objective of me streaming is not financial. I just want to share this fantastic sim with you. I'm not affiliated to it in any way. I'm not being paid to say the things I say. I just think it's such a leap forward for flight sim enthusiasts in the flight sim community, and I think for all gamers this is definitely a sight to behold. Bob Jones just subscribed. Many thanks, dude. And you know what's mad? When you see the lightning, depending on the distance of where it is, the thunder will travel the correct amount of time until you hear it. Which is just like beyond nuts. Airplane Mike says, now it looks like Florida. Yeah, boy. Eden says, am I playing in 4K? No, this is 1080p. If you go to 4K at this setting, you're kind of going to cranking it up to 11. Dave McKee says, reminds me of 4 p.m. every day in Key West. Alan says, Indonesia, it's here. Nice. Infinity Atom says, Two-Tone Murphy, ever have an issue launching the game that says the file name and directory name volume label is incorrect? No, but if you right click on the folder, go to file location, right click it, run as administrator, it might help. Marty's here. He said, games just finished downloading. Thanks for the informative streams, Murph. Marty, it's been my absolute pleasure, dude. Best of luck with the sim, and don't forget, guys, we have a Discord channel. When the stream's finished, you're all welcome to come on over there. We share different photos and screenshots and videos and tips and tutorials, and we have a bit of crack as well. And also, we're going to be doing some multiplayer flights over the coming days, as Ruben Olivis has subscribed. Many thanks, Ruben. But yeah, come on over to Discord, guys. It's all happening there. Look at the state of that. And the fact that everything moves. And Jim is now following. Many thanks, Jim. I hope you're having a nice evening. Jack says, Murphy, smooth setup. Any hiccups along the way? Not much. TKY has just subscribed on Twitch. Thank you so much. Varos is here. Many thanks, Varos. You can join the online ATC, absolutely. So you're going to have VATSIM and Pilot Edge up and running in a couple of hours as well. Simulated World is going to get very busy soon. Yeah, so if you're looking at this as a game, us flight simmers, we like anything from 30 FPS upwards is fine with us. I'm getting usually between 50 and 60 FPS, which is great. Blue Boy Ocean says, what I find amazing is that the world has been represented in a 1-to-1 scale. It's never been done before, and it's awesome. Many thanks, Descent, for the subscribe. Chris says, if I get 30 to 40 FPS at 1440, I'll be happy. Oh yeah, that's going to be amazing. Gaming Master, AMD Ryzen 3600 with 16 gig memory, an AMD RX 56, a terabyte hard drive SSD. I think it'll run it fairly well. Dylan? You know what time it's coming out at? Depending on your location, within a couple of hours. Call Me Spoon says, I'm not an expert at reading maps. What's the easiest way to find my house? Find the nearest airport and draw a circle around said airport 360 degrees, or a clock face, 12 o'clock being at the very top center, 6 o'clock being at the bottom center, 3 o'clock to the right, 6 to the left, or 9 to the left, and draw a line directly to your house, and then follow that bearing with the compass that's in your aircraft. That'll lead you out there. Shogun 007 is now following. Many thanks, Shoguns. I hope you're having a pleasant evening. Now we'll go one better. We'll turn it to nighttime, shall we? Look at the state of that. Matt Davis is here. Was Air Combat Sim developer 2001 to 2008. Something like this was a dream for everyone in the industry. Glad to see it become a glad to see it become real finally. Absolutely, Matt. We'll pan our camera around. We go Suis on the Styra. Have you ever seen anything like that, be it a video game or sim, ever in the history of all things, ever? I don't think so. A bit of Irish music, I think, as we enjoy the thunderstorms here in Florida. As you can see, that weather just moving on by. It rolls into an area and then it rolls out again. Should be called Weather Simulator. Jacob says, can someone please tell me why it's getting stuck on press on any key? If you have a joystick plugged in, press the key on your joystick. Andy G says, see you tomorrow. Andy G, many thanks for stopping by. Blue Boy Ocean says, oh my god, I'm just so pumped to play this game. I know, right? Our deliveries, there's one or two with the third-party ones, but there's more to come. Steve H is here. Good evening, Stephen. Matt says, all I need now is a Spitfire, an ME-108, and some better clips of Dover. Oh yeah. One hour and 5 minutes, 25 seconds. Prepay Mad Flight says. Awesome. I'm back to you. Now, lads, in my little humble abode, it's very late. In fact, it's tomorrow, today. So, with that said, we're going to call it a night from here. I want to say a huge thanks to all our new subscribers and all the follows and all the likes we got. Don't forget the Discord is open. It's in the chat. If you scroll upwards, you'll see it. As Andrew Regan is now following. Many thanks. I might be on later on Tuesday for a stream. I stream every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 8 PM GMT time. That's Greenwich Mean Time. Or Irish time. Is there any other time? And for those of you on the fence about thinking of getting this sim, double check your specs first. The cheapest way to access it will be on the Xbox Game Pass. George GA25 is now following. Many thanks. So from Tipperary in Ireland to the land of YouTube and Twitch, thank you all so much. Have a very pleasant evening, and hopefully in a matter of hours you'll all have access to this magnificent sim. If you have any issues or problems, jump onto Discord. We'll try and help you out as best we can. And yeah, until then, take it easy. Take care, guys, and good night.